hard, work hard, play hard, work hard, play hard.
Work, 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 work.
What's up, good people? I am Tanzim Razwan, aka the black guy in pink. Today I'm going to cover 5 theories of media and communication. Before that, I want to thank Rayana Miss and all other students of my class. I hope you guys will like it and make sure you leave a comment. So, media imperialism. What is media imperialism? It is basically the idea that the powerful and wealthy countries like USA, India, even China can access economic, cultural, and social control over smaller nations like us, Bangladesh, through controlled media industries. So, when did this all start? Like, this media imperialism debate started in the early 1970s when developing countries began to criticize the control developed countries had over the media. So countries like Bangladesh, like the smaller nations, argued that the large media companies should have limited access to the developing countries. But unfortunately, if I talk from a Bangladeshi's point of view, like a Bangladeshi's perspective, media of India is totally ruling our country. Starting from cartoons to lifestyles, everything is a result of media imperialism. So basically, if you talk about designer dresses, mehdi programs, even bridal showers are all part of foreign culture, and we, the Bangladeshi people, perceived them through, of course, the media. If you talk about the people wearing Western dresses, celebrating Halloween, and even Thanksgiving, are all the results of media imperialism. Like, kids these days speak better Hindi than Bangla. How sad is that? A few years later, maybe our culture, our mother language will completely fade away. Like, countries like ours, countries like Bangladesh should restrict the media and take control of it, should try to omit this media imperialism thing. Semiotics. Alright, so semiotics is basically the study of signs, symbols, and their uses and interpretations. Alright, so let's talk about the founders. There are 2 of them. Number 1 is Ferdinand de Saussure, who was a Swiss linguist who is basically responsible for creating signs, symbols, and signifier and signified concept. And number 2 is an American philosopher whose name is Charles Sanders Peirce. Alright, so let's break this semiotics into 2 parts. Number 1 is science, and number 2, denotations and connotations. Under the science falls 2 categories like signifier and signified. So what is signifier? Signifier is basically the physical forms of a sign, such as a word or a sound or an image that can result in a communication. And different meanings of signs brings us to signified. So it is the concept that a signifier refers to, what signified is. And we can break these signified things into 3 parts. Number 1 is icon, number 2 is symbol, and number 3 is an index. Alright, so what is an icon? Icon is the physical resemble to what is signified. So basically, if you talk about a mustache, it has the same shape and size if you compare it to the human mustache. So basically, it is resembling what is actually signified. So it is an icon. And number 2 is the symbol, like any symbol, like the symbol of a Coca-Cola, symbol of Facebook, symbol of Twitter, symbol of the mobile phone, and symbol of anything, symbol of IUB. So basically, these are all symbols. This does not refers to resemble the signifier that is being represented, or it is basically the opposite of an icon. Alright, so what is index? Index is the physical connection between a signifier and the signified. That is, the signifier cannot exist without the presence of the signified. So if you talk about smoke and fire, there would not have been any smoke if there was no fire. So basically, the fire is the signified and the smoke is the signifier. And lastly, I want to talk about denotation and connotation. So denotation is the literal meaning of the word. Like, if you talk about suppose dog. The meaning of dog is basically a four-legged animal, a carnivorous animal, who has a great sense of smell, and the connotative meaning would be anything emotional meaning or various social overtones, like a dog can be a savior, a dog can be a best friend, a dog can be a pet, a dog can result in fear. So that is basically all about semiotics. I hope you understood everything. Cultivation theory. All right, this theory examines the long-term effects of television, and the founder of this theory is George Gardner, who also said the more time people spend living in the television world, the more likely they are to believe in social reality represented on a TV. Alright, so basically this theory is underscored by three core assumptions, like the highlights in the media audience and the functionality of the medium on its larger audiences. So a few facts that I want to share that we need to keep in mind are, like, television is one of the most used media in the world, and it shapes the way an individual within a society think and relate to each other in the society. And television is that is number one, and number two is, like, television is fundamentally different from other forms of media. Like, it can create more awareness, like the user of television is more than, of course, a user of a radio. So it obviously have fundamental differences. And the third point is television effects are limited. It's not always true that the television effects will stay for a long time or will affect a lot of people. So basically the effects are, of course, limited. And lastly, I want to conclude that there are two types of viewers, like heavy viewers and light viewers. Heavy viewers are those who watch television for more than 4 hours every day, and light viewers are those who watches television for less than 4 hours every day. And high frequency viewers of television, like people who are heavy users, are more susceptible to media messages, I think, and believe that they are real and valid. So if you think about the crimes happening in the real world, our heavy viewers will be more scared than the light viewers. I hope you guys are on board, as now I'm going to talk about an interesting theory, and that is agenda setting theory. So this theory describes the ability of news media to influence the importance on the topics of public agenda. And that is, if a news is covered more frequently and prominently, the audience will regard that news or that issue as more important, as more prominent. This theory suggests that the media can tell you what to think, but it can tell you what to think about. So this theory was developed by Maxwell McCombs and Donald Shaw in 1972. They found a correlation between issues people believed were important and issues media believed that were important and was reported prominently in the media. So they also argued that the media uses a number of cues to indicate the importance of an issue. Like, if you talk about newspaper, on the front page of a newspaper, the importance of a news is basically indicated by the size of the headline's font. So the more bigger the headline is, the more important the news becomes. So likewise, the importance of a news in the front page is more important than a news in another page. So that pretty much sums up agenda setting theory. I hope you guys understood it. So I'm almost done. This is my last topic, audience reception theory by the most famous cultural theorist Stuart Hall. And this is one of my favorite, and this is basically the encoding and decoding theory. Stuart Hall is the one who developed this idea that the media texts are encoded by the creators and decoded by the audience like us. This theory is a bit different from the theory I discussed earlier, the cultivation theory. In cultivation theory, people like the audiences are very passive. They take everything for granted. They actually decodes 100% of what is encoded by the media. But in this theory, the audiences are more active and can be divided into three categories. Number one is dominant hegemony, number two is negotiated, and number three is oppositional. Okay, if I put up an ad in TV like telling that Khana's burgers are the best, I'm assuming you all know Khana's. Like the people of under the category of dominant hegemony, the audiences will react to it just the way I want them to react. Like they will take this ad totally positively, like they will agree to it 100%. They will be like, this is a great offer, the Khanas are the best, and they are actually the best burger provider in town. And in the second category, that is the negotiated, people will partially believe that this is true. They'll also be like, there is Burger King, there is Burger Lab, so they'll compare. They'll not agree to the fact that Khanas are the best burger providers or they make the best burgers in town, but they will negotiate. They'll partially agree to this fact. And at last, the oppositional, like they're very interesting. They totally disagrees to the fact that Khanas are the best burger provider. They will be like, I hate Khanas, they're the worst, their quality is not good, they're reasonable but their quality is also very cheap. So that is what basically audience reception theory is. Like audience will receive different messages differently. All right, that's pretty much it. Thank you.